Hello, and welcome to another episode of Nothing and Like It, the only podcast to chronicle the FWA via its appearances on television. I am yesterday's hero, here to fight another day, Kieran Lefort, and joining me, he don't give a damn what game they play, Andy Ogden. Andy, how are you?
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm not too bad, lads. Glad to be back on here.
Tremendous. And he will blow you apart, he will eat you for lunch. It is Eddie Sideburns. How are you?
I'm doing good. This actual recording is in higher quality, apparently, and I'm ready to go. So let's go.
Stop reading the text stuff.
I'm reading directly from the script, everything word by word.
Okay.
Fuck KLM, and let's go.
All right. We're here to talk about another 2 episodes of FWA TV on the Wrestling Channel. We are in September 2004. For our first episode broadcast on a Friday after all the other episodes had debuted on Thursday. So it is episode 23, September the 10th, 2004. And we open up with John Atkins voicing over stills from This Past Sunday at Hot Wired, recapping the angle between Alex Shane and boxer Danny Williams, who had rather famously knocked out Mike Tyson in Louisville just 5 weeks earlier. I think we should leave this and cover it in depth once we get to the full version being shown on TV, because this really is like WWF 90s, like pay-per-view recap stills. But the gist is, Shane comes out after the opener to do one of his usual promos, spots Williams and starts insulting him. Williams and his team go to leave, but Alex gets up to the barrier, still yelling at them, and spits water at the group. Danny goes for him, but security get in the way and remove Williams from the building. And Atkins promises us more on this explosive situation in the coming weeks.
What I was expecting from this was that, what John Atkins was saying was just going to appeal in a title card midway through, and it was going to be like some do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, like just
like a Buster Keaton film.
Like a Buster Keaton film, and anything John Atkins was saying was just going to appear on a screen with music changing each time. 5 weeks after he just knocked out Tyson, this guy just decided, let's go watch some Alex Shane promo.
Well, so did you see the bleach blonde guy in the group?
Yes.
Next to Williams. Okay, so that is Ant Evans, who was a boxing journalist who also wrote for Power Slam.
Right, okay.
And it was through him that this got set up.
Okay.
So, yeah, this was a big get.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
But it was still only in front of 400 people in Broxbourne. So.
I mean, by this point, wasn't Tyson at the end of his career anyway by this point?
Pretty much. So Williams was supposed to be a tune-up fight for Tyson to get a title match.
Okay.
Williams was supposed to be a tin can, and and I believe he knocked out Tyson in round 4. Yeah. Williams then went on to fight Vladimir Klitschko and got flattened. So
I was going to say, lads, he'd gone from the baddest man on the planet to basically the tightest man on the planet in Alex Shane. What a come down.
Shout out to the guy who was wearing the Guy Fieri Flames-like shirt. I really like that. One of the videos.
Oh, the photographer at ringside.
Oh, yeah. He's wearing the Mikey Whipwreck, and the Guy Fieri Flame shirt. I was like, yes.
I think I still have the bit that went in the paper about this. I think it must have been Patrick Lennon Daily Star. But apart from the promo picture of Alex, all the pictures they ran were stills from the video that I shot.
Right.
I think I still have the clipping somewhere. When we get around to doing the proper version of this, I'll dig it out and maybe scan it and put it on the socials and stuff. But yes.
Oh, brilliant.
I can sort of imagine Alex Shane on page 3 with a dolly bird just doing his pose with his finger on his chin.
It's his favourite page in any newspaper. I think we decided that we needed to jump forward in TV time to show this because it was the hot angle involving an outsider that had just happened live. Yeah. And we'd look a bit silly if there was no mention of it on TV. Immediately afterwards. This way, though, with the teaser, we basically get 2 bites of the cherry because we get this and then we get to show it in full later on. So that will be coming up for us in 2 or 3 episodes, I think.
Makes sense.
Yeah. We then get another recap This is the TV time recap. This is 4 weeks ago. Nikita's bounty holder is revealed, and Sweet Saraya attacks with some expensive tombstone pile drivers. Opening titles, John in the Void. Look at his face after he says, "I'm your man, John Atkins." He is so pleased with himself to have got that line out and not crack up, trying not to crack up. He plugs the unveiling of a new FWA commissioner and our main event of AJ Styles versus James Tighe. But first, we're off to Morecambe, and it's July the 31st, 2004, for Sweet Saraya versus MinXe, and I can see shaking heads on my screen already.
MinXe, who is famously known as having, I think, the first women's match in Grand Pro Wrestling in Wigan, Hindley.
Really?
Yeah. That's how I recognise the name straight away. It's like, I don't know that name.
Okay. So, as far as I know, she is Sarah Jones, and she is either from Wigan, Sunderland, or South Shields. The internet can't decide. And obviously, those places are right next door to each other. And she would later on just go on to use her real name. Born May the 16th, 1986. So she is just 18 years old here and has been wrestling for only 1 year. Like, this is pretty much her 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
She quit in 2009, having worked a lot for All Star and NWE in Italy. My first note for this match: why does the bell sound like Arkwright's shop door swinging open in open all hours? It's this weird little jingly noise. It's not a ring bell. So the FWA would use a fire bell screwed to a bit of wood and hit it with a spanner.
Yeah.
Where on the days they forgot it, it would be John whacking a pen on the railings or the ring post or whatever. This one sounded like a bicycle or a shop door.
Are you going to say the final bell was Arkwright's till then, and it X the one's hand?
I've got to say, I don't have a lot of notes about this because it's a squash. It is 7.5 minutes. MinXe's entire offense, 2 kicks and a sunset flip. The first move of this match is a fucking X Factor. Why are you opening your matches with WWE finishers?
-5. Stop. This is shit. This was shit. Like, what was the... This was shit. It was just I've put the drizzling shits. I've put the riot. This. It's just ridiculous. It was awful. I watched I've wasted time watching that. That could have been that could have been so quicker than what it was. Because there was moments where you're thinking, "Oh, MinXe is going to get something here," and then MinXe doesn't. It's basically the equivalent of Zebra Kid talking to Davey Richards, but in a female fashion.
I wrote 99% of this match is Saraya beating the shit out of MinXe, which I'm sure she had to shake hands and pretend to be grateful for afterwards.
Oh, just shake.
Saraya gets the pin with a what I called a stout. Well, what my notes have called a stout powerbomb, but I think that's supposed to be sit-out powerbomb and a bridging jackknife pin. And then when she drops out of the bridge, she sits on MinXe's face. Yeah. 1/4 of a star. Terrible.
Yeah. She sits right on the girl's face, and you just see her whole. One of the things I did appreciate was the signs. There was a 2 sign and a 2 7/8 sign that people raised. Nick London is a misogynist, confirmed during this match, but obviously he's working with the gimmick. But this was just rotten. I was just did nothing.
Yes,
I think it's ranking up there, Kieran, with some of them Reslo women's matches we've had to endure.
So, Saraya's execution is fine. Yeah. Mechanically, she can execute wrestling moves. But, funnily enough, much like the rest of the family, not a huge grasp on the ring psychology.
No.
I know from experience from booking her, she does not like to look weak or be on defense at any point.
No.
And she's in there with an 18-year-old. That kid's not going to get any offense on her.
Well, listen, you're dealing with the X Factor now,
you got everything we ever wanted, and now never.
I'm sorry, but this is a match for if MinXe had, because there was a good bits of this where I just thought, has MinXe done something that's pissed off Saraya? But then I remembered
she has been a British woman in wrestling.
Then I was going to say, okay, there's probably nothing that MinXe has actually done. It's just Saraya worried that someone else is going to try and take her spot, so she's going to go. And this also kind of now explains why this storyline just disappears off the face of the planet.
Well, Well, how many memories do you have, and are you prepared to leave them alone?
Just final thoughts on from myself on the match was Kieran took the words out of my mouth. It's a typical night match.
Yeah.
If this was 15 years later, Saraya would have incorporated a kick to the minge like she did with all of her opponents. In PCW, every time her opponent kicked to the minge, every match.
I mean, if it was a Saraya match if this was a Saraya match 15 years ago, yes, she would have done a kick to the minge, but she'd also find some drunk bastard and make out with him in the middle of the in the crowd and then throw him down at that point. I don't know who possibly could be that, but.
So it may come as wonderful news to one and all that this is Saraya's last ever match in the FWA.
Oh.
She had a grand total of 2 matches for the FWA, this and a mixed tag in 2002 that gets mentioned on commentary.
Yes.
MinXe would have one more FWA match, but that's in 2006 and outside of our window of coverage. This is apart from the Pippa Levin match, the only female-on-female match we have seen. Because every time it's been a Nikita match, she's been fighting guys. Mm-hmm. We can also say goodbye to Jane Childs and Nikita. You're not going to get to see them again. There is no further activity in the Bounty storyline. It got revealed and that's it. Nikita doesn't wrestle again for the FWA until October 2005 for her last 5 matches, and they were all against Simply Luscious on a tour.
Question for you, Kieran.
Yes.
Do you know the reasoning behind that? Was it just like she couldn't be asked, or just injuries, or?
So her FWA involvement in 2005, it goes beyond, it comes after what we cover, so it's not spoilers. In 2005, Hayde Vanson wins the title, and she becomes his manager because she turns heel as part of him winning.
Yeah, not the craziest idea to have.
But then she doesn't then wrestle until October of that year. And I guess she had bookings going on elsewhere, but that's it for the women of the Frontier Wrestling Alliance, I'm afraid. It's a Sausagefest from here on out.
And what happened to Jane Childs after this? Did she stick into wrestling, or what happened going forward?
That I don't know.
No.
That I don't know. But because she's turned heel, she can't be the ring announcer anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And with Saraya gone, which is related to something we will talk about later on, she's lost her charge. She's lost the person who came in to take out Nikita, and now because that story's dead, what does she do?
Yeah. Well, then again, you could have an authority figure, they tend to do in these Brit Rest companies.
Well, we'll talk about authority figures in a minute.
Yeah.
First, it's our favourite. It's a page turn, and Tony Giles and his luscious hair are interviewing James Tighe. Very clearly shot just after a match because look at Tighe's chest.
It was like it was a smaller equivalent of that Goliath brother on his chest. Good lord, he had been he'd obviously been through the wars at that point.
Yeah, I shot this, but I can't remember when.
Right.
It was most likely at the September show that had happened a few days before this aired. So that would have been the Saturday or Sunday, and then this went out on the Friday, and it probably would have been shot there and dropped in. That's my thinking, looking at him. So our Tone mentions the losing streak. He reels off the list of names: CM Punk, Sanjay Dutt, Low Key, but he says he rallied to beat James Storm. So how is James going to answer his critics who say he can't do 2 in a row? And then Tighe does exactly the same thing, reeling off all the people he's lost to, then saying when it seemed bleakest that he might have had to leave the company, he pinned Johnny Storm. Lovely hum on the audio here, I noticed, as James gets his own name wrong, and then goes a bit because of the fans by saying wrestling fans are doubting him and calling the Storm win a fluke. I do think he rallies it in the second half, though, where he says, tonight, AJ Styles, unfortunately for you, I need to prove that I can win 2 in a row. I need to prove it to you, I need to prove it to all the fans, and most importantly, I need to prove it to myself. Today is a new day, and by the end of the night, you're going to see that the only word associated with James Tighe is winner. Final note, probably the best promo you're getting out of James Tighe in 2004.
Yeah, I mean, I've put it down here as I love that Tony Giles reminds him that he's just a loser, and
Yeah.
it's like you've lost to this, you've lost, and then obviously it does remind that he passed out to Loki and he didn't tap out.
Yes.
I've also put down James as England's Lance Storm, which kind of almost seems kind of correct here. I feel,
to be honest, that is a very good comparison.
It's like the can I be serious for a minute? Kind of the way he was talking and the way he was kind of talking. I was like, yeah, I can very much see this.
One of the things we have to remember is I think he's still only 21 or 22 here.
Yeah, no, listen, and again, it's nothing to take away from it because again, when we've looked at these shows, there's not the main people that we said have kind of charisma coming out the backside is the ones who are still young, like Johnny Storm, Fleisch, Shane at a push sometimes and things like this, but yeah, he very much reminds me of kind of Lance Storm and the way he's kind of everything within that and kind of what's together. But I do think the end of it was just very funny that Tony Giles was just reminding him that he was a loser. I just felt like, and then he repeated it back and it's like, you don't need to repeat it, he just called you a loser.
Yeah, it's fine. Like James would admit that promos were not his strong point, and whenever it came time to do them, he didn't really want to do them. And I remember would usually ask for like, "What do you think I should say?" And so like 3 people would end up writing it together, and he basically tried to memorize it and get through it. And I think he did all right here, to be honest. Like it could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah,
I would say if I could be a boring loser for a minute here. As I said to you two lads, apart from he's just a dullard for me, James Tighe. But all I was focused on here was Tony Giles doing his best stars in your eyes impression of Brett Anderson from Suede. Whatever made him happy on a Saturday night.
Back from the ad break, postcard from Thailand. Johnny Storm is in a small boat halfway up a beach in the small northern Thai town of Mor Kham. He is very happy to see the FWA cameras. He's very happy to see the FWA cameras and is still pretending that everything's going great. He doesn't even give England a second thought, he says, although he is still waiting for a call from Alex Shane. Despite the blazing sunshine, he says it's getting late and things get a bit weird around here after dark. But it doesn't matter because wherever he is, as long as he has that XPW European title, he very unconvincingly says he is happy.
Oh, yeah, I like these. These are very good, but I do like his, because you can tell in the face he's not happy. And he's like trying to keep geeing himself up to be happy that he's in Thailand.
It's broad acting, but as far as wrestling acting goes, it's good, I think.
It's good enough acting to get
him. He's effectively communicating his emotions.
It's a good enough acting to get him a non-speaking role on a soap like EastEnders.
We definitely didn't ask permission to use this boat. We just saw it and he got in, as far as I remember. And we were like, let's get this done in one take so we can get out and run before the owner appears. Back to John in the Void, teeing up our next segment of the revelation of who is the new commissioner after the passing of Pat Roach in July. We see Shane ranting in the inset screen and then go to him in Broxbourne where he's hooting and hollering and says he is here to get the answers to a question he's been asking the FWA board of directors for the past 3 weeks. Someone heckles him and quick as a flash, he says, no, it's not if you're gay, sunshine. He says there is to be a new FWA commissioner announced tonight and the next match is not going ahead unless he finds out right now. Andy's favourite racist Japanese panpipe music plays and here comes Ross Jordan in his junior mobile phone salesman suit.
Kieran,
yes.
I think I'm just chuckling to myself at is it's a wonder that Alex Shane about Pat Roach didn't say I'll feed the same Pat.
So the thing about this segment, it must have been planned earlier. Pat Roach died 8 days before this was taped.
Yeah.
And I think it had been in the plans because his health was failing. He'd only been able to appear on one show and he was shit then.
Yeah.
And it was now nearly 18 months later and the commissioner hadn't appeared on camera at all.
Did we ever discuss how Pat Roach even got involved in FWA? Because I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I wouldn't be the one who knows. I reckon, I'll tell you what, if I say, Dean A.S. send me a DM about how Pat Roach got involved, I'll probably get one. So some people in the crowd are very happy to see Ross Jordan. Watch the side nearest to hard cam. Some of them go far too crazy. So I guess that's where Ross's family was sitting. But Alex just laughs at him and calls it a major disappointment. He says he's heard the new commissioner is here to stop him abusing his power, raising up belts in ladder matches, getting people's mics cut off and that kind of thing. Is that correct? Ross confirms that is in fact correct, and the little detail I appreciated was Alex goes to hold out his mic to do the bit where he pulls it away before he gets an answer to his question, but Jordan already has one in his hand. Alex says he's also heard rumours that the commissioner has been put in place to stop him doing whatever he wants on shows, including have his friends run in on his matches. And Ross confirms, yes, this is also correct. Alex then tries intimidation. He gets in close and he's towering over Jordan. And he says, look at me and look at you in your dad's best suit and tell me exactly how you intend to stop me. And Ross pops up and says, well, actually, Alex, I don't. You just described the roles of the FWA commissioner. And to be honest, I'm not the new FWA commissioner. And Alex is looking very confused. And Ross continues, I'm only here to introduce the new FWA commissioner, which he does. It is Flash Barker, and the place goes crazy. Flash is jubilant. I love his first line. I bet you didn't think you was going to see me again, did ya? Welcome back, Chance. A reminder, in real time, his retirement ceremony was 5 weeks ago. And we saw him retire on TV 2 weeks ago. So he hasn't gone very far. Flash says the shareholders of the FWA came to him with a problem. There was a guy running roughshod all over the promotion. And he said his condition was from the first bell to the final bell of every show, he is the authority. So guess what, Alex? I'm your boss. Shane tries to respond, but Barker gets his mic cut. And he says stuff like stopping matches going ahead isn't going to happen anymore because he's going to start fining and suspending people. In particular, holding up a match gets you chucked out of the building. Please welcome the FWA Security Jobber Squad. How many do you recognise?
None.
Eddie's on 0. Oh, this is an Andy Ogden question. We got 7.
There was one at the front I'd recognise, like a blondish hair person.
Mm.
But I can't think of the name. I know there were one at the front.
And he hasn't been paying attention to British wrestling for the last 20 years. Damon Lee, Johnny Fear, JC Thunder, Dirk Feelgood, Joey Hayes, PJ Black, and then Future Shock trainee and current wrestler Reynaldo.
JC Thunder, and that's the one I noticed straight away.
Right.
Reynaldo's still going as well.
Yeah, I know. Like you wrestled a few weeks ago. I looked on Cage Match.
Yeah.
So after Flash graciously hands over his working microphone, Alex retorts saying that Barker may have control during the show, but first thing Monday morning, he's still a cripple who can't wrestle, and Shane is still the FWA managing director. He says if Flash has him thrown out now, he's starting a war, and is that something you really want? And Flash considers for a second, and then yells, you bet I want it. Now, boys, get him out of the building. So the security lads swarm the ring. Alex shoves Damon Lee, and they pounce. They drag him out the ring. They get him halfway up the walkway when Flash stops them. And he says, Alex, just to show you I'm a fair man, I'm going to give you your expenses for the evening. So here's £1 for the bus, and chucks £1 at him. Alex is screaming. Security cart him out through the foyer, throw him out through the front doors, and he comically presses his face against the glass, yelling how they can't do this to him. And that is the end of our segment. I like this. I found this wildly entertaining.
Yeah, I thought Alex Shane here myself, just comedy acting in it. He's proper camp acting, but you know.
Oh, absolutely.
So funny to watch. So the before you said about the Alex Shane line, well, I'm still your boss on him. I was thinking that he should have said that. Well, what can you do? You below me, I can just sack you like that. So. Yeah, no,
it will probably take a vote from the board of directors to sack him. Let's say in kayfabe, but yes, we now have a power struggle within the FWA.
I agree. I enjoyed this, the afters and the stuff with Alex's facial reaction after Flash throwing him the quid was quite hilarious as well. There was a lot of edits. I noticed there are kind of like cuts in this. which
Oh,
made,
you noticed, did you?
which made me think that in the nicest possible way, I was like, oh, has this, because it was like this, I've put, did Alex get pissed he edited this promo, Kieran? And also, this promo has so many edits, it must be terrible, but I'm waiting to hear I've been proved wrong.
So I seem to recall it went very long.
Yeah.
Like this went about 20 minutes. And poor Flash rambled and flubbed every line.
I figured that.
So this basically had to be rescued in the edit. It had to. Again, it's the thing of like, I've got 45 minutes. I've got to fit the 2 matches in as much as possible. And so this gets chopped down to fit the space that's left.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, but I think it comes out all right. Like, you don't need to see all 20 minutes of it. Like, you get the point, right?
Yeah.
So we go back to John, who is slightly out of focus, to set up our main event of AJ Styles versus James Tighe. And he reiterates, that's a difficult word, isn't it? The pressure that Tighe is under, and then throws it back to Brock Spawn. So yes, July 25th, 2004, we see my old mate Fozzie behind AJ in the entrance with a camcorder. He was shooting for an AJ Styles European Road Diaries DVD that he produced, and I currently have Gadget's copy of. When it comes to the wide shot, look how packed this place is. Complete sellout. Every seat is full, and there are people also on the steps on the hard cam side, lining that left side wall and standing on the stage. It is not super no vacancy. It is super don't tell the fire marshal. This was the biggest attendance that the FWA ever did at Brock Spawn. And it was simply because AJ Styles was on the show. At this point, he's TNA X Division champion. And in the last, when was he last around? Frontiers of Honor? So it's been a year since he's been around. And in that time, his star has only risen in the US.
Well, there's a big thing we'll see, there's a big thing around his waist that kind of shows the
exactly
how he's doing.
Yes. So we get AJ's entrance, the first lockup, and a tease of a little mat grappling, and then we go to an ad break. When we come back, James is reversing out of a headlock and sends AJ spinning to the mat with a shoulder block and out to the floor to take stock of his life decisions. Back inside, more grappling, ended with Styles backflipping out of a German suplex and shooting Tighe into the ropes for the trademark leapfrog drop-down dropkick spot. But James holds the ropes on the dropkicks that AJ misses. James hits the ropes on the other side, and with a loud, sharp crack, Styles hits the dropkick and breaks James Tighe's nose. They have been going 2 minutes. James's nose is gushing blood. It's everywhere. It's all over him, the mat, his face, those white trunks were new. They were packet fresh that night.
And at this stage, Kieran went, you know what? I'm going to film this in glorious Greyscale. Shutters down.
Mate, stop watching the broadcast versions. Watch the good ones.
Sorry.
Because Eddie and I got to watch this uncensored.
Oh, you got to watch it in glorious grapple vision. Oh, my word.
We got to watch it in glorious Kieran Master Edition.
Remastered HD version. Yeah.
I watched the broadcast version with all its grayness.
Yeah, sorry. So it would have gone out as Eddie and I saw it on the first run, because that was post 9 p.m. on a Friday night. But then all of the repeats are pre-Watershed.
Yeah.
So that's why we got to have the black and white version. Like you can't have that much blood on TV at 3 p.m,
mate. These 2 episodes, what we're going through, I've watched the broadcast version. So basically, I've just been watching. Like I've got cataracts.
You've been watching black and white movies? Oh, no. Oh, dear. Well, enjoy the next 20 minutes. So Tighe goes outside for a rest, but Styles is on him looking for a dive quite quickly. James slides back in to wrong foot him, but ends up in a sunset flip that AJ rolls through into the Styles clash. Tighe fights against it, grabs the ropes, and all I could think of was imagine being upside down for even that long with a freshly broken nose and all that blood going the wrong way up your nasal passage. Styles gets out the Titanic and goes to an armbar to finally give James a little bit of recovery time. This is where the dueling chants start. At the time, I'd never heard anything like this, and get used to it because it is near enough constant for the rest of the match. I remember people afterwards were complaining that people were too busy chanting and not watching the match. I disagree. This is people cheering for who they want to win. I think this sounds great.
Sounds like a Fight Club Pro event, that.
So James is back on his feet, pushes AJ into a corner, and ref Tommy Stevens gets between them to force a break. When they come apart, Tighe goes for a spinning shove, but Stevens is still in the way and gets hit and tumbles out of the ring. And these two sporting gentlemen stop and they make sure he's okay. Despite the blood, these two are baby faces and this is a sporting contest. So they hold the ropes open for Tommy and he gets back in the ring and we carry on. They shake hands and then make sure everyone is back into the match straight away by James immediately delivering a German suplex that AJ takes on his face. So Tighe is now in control. Suplex, tight chin lock, neck crank, pair of clotheslines, and he's starting to show, you know how even when he's a babyface, AJ Styles is still quite intense? Like he will still hit very snug. Even though he's a babyface, he will still like put in little kicks when people are down, that kind of thing. And this is how James is now wrestling. He has a neck breaker for a near fall. And just as I write, the head and neck are now the target, Tony says the same thing on commentary. Second near fall off this nice bridging butterfly suplex. And they get into this scrappy strike battle. AJ sweeps out Tighe's leg with a kick to the knee, and when he stands back up, Styles hits his nip-up Hurricane Rana that sends James out to the floor, and follows with this wild flip tope that sees Styles smash the backs of his own knees on the railing.
And they call that, the commentary says he calls that the Superman, and as soon as I saw that his legs hit the guardrail, I'm like, oh no.
Could cripple himself in a single bound.
Oh.
We are at the height of the Tony Giles, AJ Styles real life friendship here. Like they talk pretty much every day online. I think I mentioned like they were both early adopters of Xbox Live and would play video games online together. Yeah, they are big mates at this point.
Yeah.
That tope is almost enough to get the win when they roll back inside. And so are a flying knee drop and a leaping forearm in the corner. Styles clamps on the Muta lock and then rolls over onto his front to invert it. Tighe manages to break free and fires up with some forearms. He goes for a springing back elbow off the middle rope, but AJ catches him in midair and turns it into a German suplex. James kicks out of this as well. Styles goes for another flying forearm in the corner, but Tighe moves and connects with a clothesline and the moonsault dropkick. They do some ducking and dodging and then catch each other with simultaneous enziguris, prompting a full-throated FWA chant, and we go to our final ad break. When we come back, AJ gets the best of a strike exchange by twisting a forearm into a backslide for a 2 count, but James rolls out of it, keeps the arms hooked, and goes straight into his twisting tiger driver that is now called the Tighe Fighter. For better or worse, I named this because we had no idea what to call it in the commentary sections.
Good stuff.
As I mentioned before, this is now Shun Skywalker's blaster, so it's kept its Star Wars lineage when it comes to naming.
Brilliant.
AJ kicks out of this and a pump handle side effect, so James signals for and hooks the Titanic. And 3 times AJ breaks the grip, with Tighe throwing little punches into his ribs after each break to try and soften him up. In return, James fights off a brainbuster, but Styles turns into a neck breaker for another near fall. The moonsault DDT out of the corner looks a bit messy, but they smartly turn it into a struggle to make it look like it's James trying to escape rather than Styles not getting it clean.
I think also James is a bit too close. So I think...
So I have seen this match for 20 years. I noticed for the first time that what actually happens is Styles comes out the corner, James is on the wrong side. So he hooks him with one side and it's kind of covered with a camera cut, but while they're doing the struggle, he switches over to the side he's expecting him to be on.
But I like that he made it kind of a struggle, because then it's not just a case of, right, we're just going to immediately trying to fix it. It's like a good way of how we can get it within the moment. So yeah.
Yeah. Talking of struggles, when Tighe gets out of a Styles clash, AJ drags him to the corner for a superplex. This looked like it was going to go disastrously wrong, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can see every time AJ puts his left foot on the top rope, it just slides away from the turnbuckle. And in the end, he's just like, fuck it, go. You wouldn't know it from the audio, but a section of the crowd started chanting, "You fucked up."
Yes.
And Mark Sloan went fucking ballistic. He ran over to them and started booing at them along with the trainees.
Is that why there was a chant, or this may have been it might have been another thing. I'm pretty sure I had a "please don't swear" chant, but it could have been in another thing.
No. No, I covered this up with lots of the dueling chanting from earlier on. So they get into a 4-arm battle, and then AJ gets angry, hammering on James's back and goes for a discus clothesline. But Tighe either collapses from the blows on the back or ducks out of the way. You can kind of play it both ways. And Styles clobbers the ref, who flies out of the ring. And Tony calls him Sommy Tevens again. So once again, the wrestlers go over to see if he's okay. And as Styles, whose nose is now also bleeding, as he steps over the middle rope to put one foot on the apron, Tighe kicks the rope into his nuts. The little detail I like is this is how AJ was standing when they helped Stevens back into the ring the first time. So it's got precedent, like this is how he's going to be. This is his position. James fetches a chair and sets up for a pile driver on it. Styles reverses into a backdrop and James clips his head on the chair as he lands. Styles follows up with a Pele kick, takes up the chair for himself and bangs it on the mat a couple of times. The referee comes to, looks up over the apron to see AJ holding a chair and James clutching his head and calls for the disqualification. And when Styles protests, he says he heard the shots, which was, of course, AJ banging the chair on the mat. Tighe exits quickly, telling the fans they could kiss his ass because a win is a win. And James Tighe is now a heel. Despite the DQ finish, AJ still gets a standing ovation and we hear the start of a "please come back" chant as we fade out. I'm going to start with noted James Tighe hater Andrew Ogden. How do you feel about this?
I think for me, it was possibly one of James Tighe's best matches. But then again, you are in there with AJ Styles from mid-2000s, who's probably one of the best wrestlers in the world. And the bit of blood early doors added to it. I thought, you mentioned the white trunks straight out of the packet, but they always say, like, what if they're wearing white, they're bleeding, so...
Yeah, usually intentionally.
Yeah.
This was very much not intentional. James was not happy.
Yeah, so it added something to the match in that respects. I think with the heel turn at the end, obviously it's a bit of a duff finish, but with the heel turn at the end, maybe this will bring some personality out of him, which I think we've all said it's been needed. Definitely.
Yeah, like there's never any issue with his wrestling. Like he's always been, like, again, particularly for somebody so young, he's always been an excellent mechanical wrestler and he's in good shape. Like he looks the part. He just has a lot, like with a lot of British guys at this time, has trouble projecting personality. And a lot of that is because if you do anything resembling a promo in any of the other companies, you're told, oh, you're just copying the Americans, be British.
Yeah. And I think we've noticed now quite a few popular baby faces, like Mark Belton. He was like quite popular, and then he's turned. Scott Parker were one as well. And
yeah, he turned to join the family, didn't he?
Yeah, and now you've got James Tighe. So hot baby faces on that side. It's sort of whittling down quite a bit, but be interested to see where it goes with him. I sort of know where it goes with him because it'll end up at British Uprising 3, but... Yeah.
Eddie, how about you?
The match was really, really good, really enjoyable. AJ can make anyone look really good, but James brought his own stuff in here, which was quite good. The finish kind of took me out of it. It was fine at times, and it was a bit messy as well, the whole match. It was kind of fine because it made it feel like that struggle. But what, like some of the stuff they did was great. I just felt like, especially, I get the commentary trying to go, oh, but he heard it, but he didn't see it, and a ref normally should be seeing it. It's like, yes, a ref should see it. It's the same way,
But
like,
they cover for that with Tommy is still inexperienced.
yeah, and I mean,
Because we've only seen him on TV 2 or 3 times.
I mean, it's also like as well when you talk about how dumb a ref is, because the heels obviously do the fake tag in when it's the heel heat and stuff like that, and a referee kind of only hears that, they don't see it, so it kind of makes sense for that as well. But yeah, I thought the match was good just until the end. Sammy Stevens needs to do a bit better.
You know, he said his experience. He looks old enough to be Quilden's dad by the look of him.
We could add him to the...
He's got the pub landlord look of...
Yep, add him to the list of pub landlords.
Yeah.
I really like the psychology and the internal storytelling of this match. So it starts as a sporting contest with lots of grappling. James is the first one to show any kind of power with the big shoulder tackle, and then he subtly takes advantage of that first ref bump by dodging the lock up and firing off that big German suplex. It's not illegal. It's not even unsporting. He just has quicker reflexes and is more determined. After all, the guy he's suplexing did just break his nose.
Yeah.
I think the atmosphere is great. I think, as Andy said, the blood helps, especially as AJ gets somewhat of a receipt near the end. I like the 2 set pieces with the ref. I thought they were done really well. And while I think a DQ finish does suck in the moment, it makes sense. I thought they built to it and executed it very well. It plays into the story and James's new character. And like I said, crowd didn't care. They were on their feet cheering for AJ trying for him to come back by the end of this.
Listen, they're not going to get a phone call from a guy from area code in Nashville, Tennessee going, what are you doing having my champion lose, clean?
That is the other issue, yes. Yeah, I went 4 for this. Would have been 4.5 with a pinfall or submission finish. I think this is really good. This is one of the best matches we've seen on this run of TV.
And to be honest, AJ Styles is involved in probably 4 of the top 5 in it.
Yeah, I mean, he's just, for his entire career, he's just been one of those undeniable talents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and famously, he was a gymnast who went with his mate to a wrestling training and picked it up better than his mate did. He wasn't a wrestling fan. It's crazy.
Do you want me to do my gimmick bit now with the champion, or do you want me to wait till the end of the episodes?
Do you want to do it now, or do you want to wait till the end?
I could do it now, I guess. Just for anyone. Oh, here we go.
Where's Williams? Where's Williams? Where's Williams? Where's Williams? Where's Williams? Where's Williams?
Hello and welcome to another great episode of Where is Williams? So during this time, our beloved FWA World Champion Doug is mainly in America. I think this show takes place on the 25th of July when when it's actually performed live. During that time, Doug Williams is in a semi-final for the ROH Pure title. Then he wins, defeating Alex Shelley in the final. And on the night before this show, he is defeating Austin Aries in the Frontier Fieldhouse in Chicago Ridge, Illinois for ROH Death Before Dishonor 2.
Oh, so he did do something Frontier related then.
Yes, he was defending the ROH pureness, and then after this, 5 days later, he has a draw with Robbie Brookside in Worthing, West Sussex. So there you go.
There you go.
That's where Williams is. Thank you for joining me.
Cool. Excellent. I should have made you wait just a minute longer because we're almost at the end of this episode. We go back to John in the Void to plug Aviv Mayan versus 5 Star for next week and Ricky Knight versus Zebra Kid as the main event next week. And we're done. Apart from that Sarai match, I think this episode is really good. Very much held up by that main event.
Yeah.
And the main problem with that opener is it's twice as long as it needs to be. A squash match has no business going 7.5 minutes.
I'll say it now. Kevin Nash, Bob Backlund, Madison Square Garden. That's how long that should have been.
Should have been the pin off that X Factor. If I have a gripe, it's very minor, and that is Nothing is directly built for next week until the last 30 seconds of the show, and that's just John telling us 2 matches we're going to see. I do think it's quite telling. We really didn't have much to take the piss out of in this episode. See, I think that's a good measure of quality.
Yeah. No,
if we're making jokes about it, then it's probably not very good.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Eddie on that opener. It just should be a minute longest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, too long, but yeah,
she just
rest of it was pretty good.
Minx gets. Sorry, we're going back to. She just gets nothing in it, and that's why it's bad. 9 seconds. She has the X Factor. Minx is dealing with the X Factor. The song plays. We all move on, and we get out of there. That's it. But yeah, I think it starts off with a really, really awful match and ends with a kind of pretty decent match until the ending for me. But I get why the ending. So, yeah.
And so, on to episode 24, September the 17th, 2004. Cold open on Mark, 5-star Belton in a very pink dressing room. This was just the colour of the walls in the Broxbourne dressing rooms. We get recap clips of all the things he talks about as he says the reason he walked out on Aviv was because he beat James Tighe to become number 1 contender to the FWA title. Then he took Dog Williams to his limit in the title match. And his reward for all this was being thrown into a tag team with Aviv Mayan. He says he's worked hard to get Rhea's today and Aviv has done nothing apart from get a couple of fluky wins. He says he's not here to help out kids like Aviv. He's here to help himself. And Aviv is just the first obstacle on his way to the top. His final word is interrupted, possibly due to an incompetent editor, by the postcard from Thailand. And we get a shirtless Johnny Storm, and he's simply jiggling his briefcase up and down and chanting XPW, XPW. So we clearly run out of dialogue for him. And he is distracted by something off camera. And we cut to a second shirtless man who coos in a camp voice, "Johnny boy, I'm waiting for you." And Johnny sprints off up the boat launch ramp, yelling, "Bring me back, FWA," and struggling to hold on to the briefcase.
Kieran?
Yes.
Who was this?
That was one of the cameramen.
All right. If it were you, I was like, oh no.
Well, it obviously was. Jesus Christ, you must be watching shitty O-Vision if you thought that was me. So the funny thing was, I think he was from the Midlands, and we kind of persuaded him. He'd been persuaded to film the show because it was for TV, right? And he would get a TV credit. And then we persuaded him to do this by telling him nobody really watches the TV show.
Got a reason to do it, innit?
Yeah. This, unfortunately, is the shitty gay panic end to the postcard from Thailand series. I'm really sorry. Like, this is such a shit ending.
Yeah.
And it's all because we had an hour to do as many as we could. I think there's another one that never aired. We basically had an hour to do as much of this as we could on Morecambe Beach before the show started. Yeah, it's shit. I think the postcards from Thailand should have been spread out a bit more, maybe one every 2 weeks rather than weekly. And we definitely should have done something better than this. Like, this is embarrassing now. I mean, it was pretty embarrassing then. It's even more embarrassing now.
Yeah, very low rent, especially this one.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. This was the humor of the time, though. You know? Yeah, and yeah. Suffice to say, this is not making it onto my show reel at any point, even if it has been remastered into HD. Yeah, this is, along with the Tex Benedict attacks Nikita in the weird couch zone in the cardio room, this one should be consigned to the dustbin of FWA history, I think. So, opening titles and off to the Atkins dimension with our host and ever faithful servant. He looks in much better visual quality this week. He tells us the main event will be Ricky Knight versus Zebra Kid, father versus son. But first, as clips of Belton's turn play in the inset screen, he sets up Mark Belton versus Aviv Mayan. July 25th, 2004. John throws it to the commentators, but instead, he teleports to Broxbourne and changes suits to do the ring introductions while the hard cam wobbles into place. We are told that the winner of this match gets a shot at Doug's title, presumably because Aviv has been pinned by the family of Mark Sloan recently, and Belton lost to Doug last time he tried to win the belt. I quite like Nick London's line that he's going to put in a request with Flash Barker that every time Tony Giles mentions that Aviv pinned Alex Shane, he gets fined $1,000. It's a very simple line that reminds people about the wins, reminds people there is a new commissioner, and gets London's character over. Did anybody else notice Steve Linsky very gently stroking Aviv's sides during the pre-match pat-down? Like the knee pad and boot check for weapons and whatnot.
I was a bit kind of off-put by him, like, my God, just get over and with and move on.
Yes.
Whatever floats his boat, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we explain, like, Mark Belton has shaved his head? Like,
well,
he's
fine,
shaved.
okay, yes, let's jump ahead to that. He is introduced as the Champion of Charisma, which is a nickname that also needs to go in the bin, especially as he already has one. It's 5-star. Yes, the freshly buzzed head is mocked by the crowd, as this would have been the first time they'd have seen it. I had to stifle a laughter last month when Andy called him Ponytail Boy because I knew this was coming. Gotta say, vast improvement to the Nick Jackson look, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. He looks a different man, doesn't he?
Yeah, and between this and the 1991 Steve Austin trunks he's got on now, as opposed to those shit trousers his mum sewed for him, I think he's been in the gym as well because he looks fucking ripped. Like he's not big and bulky, yeah, but there's not an ounce of fat on him. Like he is starting to look more like a star now. Yeah. So Belton shakes hands to start and gives a very theatrical clean break when he forces Aviv into a corner. And he's being very performatively clean in his wrestling. Aviv out-wrestles him for a bit, forcing a comedy bump, but 5-star comes back to focus on the arm until things speed up and Mayan scores a 2 count from a sunset flip off Belton's shoulders. Belton does a comedy jig in time with the fans clapping, prompting a chant of "Dance, Aviv, dance," and he then gives them a little Saturday Night Fever in the corner. With all the charisma you would expect from a young Aviv Mayan. More grappling. It's not David versus Goliath, but through their movements, they make a little out of 5-star being a bit taller and a bit stronger, but Aviv being a bit faster. Belton eventually showboats to the crowd once too often, so Aviv drop kicks him in the back. And this leads to a bunch of rope running that gifts Aviv 3 nice arm drags, but he runs into a palm strike that knocks him flat on his ass. You can hear Belton telling Aviv, "You calm down and watch yourself. There's plenty more where that came from," as he's on the ground. 5-star takes a corner, what I'm going to call the Reslow way, which is bollocks first into the middle turnbuckle. Much to the delight of a small child near a microphone, I noticed. When Aviv tries to follow up, Belton adds to the stunning Steve look with a stun gun and gives him some digs around ringside as we go to the break. Forgot to ask, Andy, any notable adverts in your shitty black and white division versions of these?
There was one on this episode. It was Nick London in a toilet.
Oh, we'll get to that. But that appeared on the remaster as well. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So as we come back from break, we get a little bit of a jump scare. It's a swirly purple and black vortex with bolts of lightning clashing in the middle and some other particle effects, an intense drum beat and guitar amp feedback, and a large number 13 being sucked into the center, followed by the words,
"It's Taz."
Legally can't use the orange and black, so he's gone purple. It is followed by the words, "It is coming," a mystery. Heat on Aviv with Belton working on the neck and throat. Aviv gets a little hope spot with a sunset flip, and when he can't get Belton over, pulls his trunks down to expose his bare ass. This, I imagine, got sense of you as well, Andy, didn't it?
Or a big black circle was over Mr. Belton's arsehole.
Because that, in 2004 in Premiere, that was the easiest thing for me to track around over things like that needed to be covered up.
Yeah.
Fantastic reaction from the crowd. From Linsky, and a completely oblivious Belton as he walks around celebrating having escaped this move by just punching Aviv in the face. He's walking around with his arms up, he's dancing, he's jiggling, he's ignoring Linsky's request to pull his gear back up. He makes sure all 4 sides and both ringside cameras get a good look before he eventually realizes and pulls them back up while pulling a silly face. He does some more work on Aviv's neck, as well as Christian's baseball slide punch and some very hard chops in the corner that wake the crowd back up. Aviv almost manages a shock pin against the runner play with a springing Rana out the corner, but 5-star simply punches him in the throat on the ref's blind side and pops him in a camel clutch for the tap out. Belton hangs onto the hold after the bell, like wrenching back and laying in forearms across the face and chest until Tommy Stevens and Andy Quildan hit the ring and convince him to let go. He shoves them away and puts it back on until they physically pull him off, and then he mockingly shakes hands with all the referees and retreats up the aisle laughing at Aviv.
I think myself, it's more the follow-up segment that pissed me off.
All right, we'll get to that.
But I think as a match, it was very good. Mark Belton, I think we've said before, or when we've seen him, he's quite competent as an act. That's pretty good wrestler. And Aviv Mayam we've enjoyed, but last time we said about Aviv was like, oh, it's a slippery slope down. He's on the way down now.
This is his third TV loss in a row.
Yeah. But I enjoy as a match. I enjoyed it, but I did feel it was a bit of a one-sided squash that made Belton look more stronger than Aviv. But the next segment, which I said, hated it.
It felt like a bit of a slog watching this match at certain times. There was some decent heel versus face shtick. The dance-off moment was pretty kind of funny. I just didn't enjoy this really, unfortunately. It just felt like a bit of a slog, slow burning, and kind of times there was just kind of like I'm a bit put off by it. But Belton, I don't know. I think the shaving the head, like I've put here, shave your head, become a twat, and then
when's the time for your next haircut?
In about a week and a half, mate.
I don't know. I think the appeal of Mark Belton is just kind of another heel on this roster. Is just kind of like he's just lost the appeal for me, I guess.
Really? Did you prefer him as a babyface?
I thought there was like something there about him being a babyface. I thought it was, but like just again, this match kind of just was a bit of a slog. Obviously the finish came out of nowhere for me, from what I felt, and then obviously they do the whole bit at the end, but just not for me.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I went the standard FWA 3 stars. Like, I think it's well executed. Like, all the wrestling they do is good, but as ever, it felt too long. Like, this is not a TV length match. And as you said, it's very lopsided in structure. And the finish came very quickly after a long road to get there. It's like you're driving down a motorway and then you suddenly notice it's your turning.
It also just, and again, to Andy's point as well, what are we doing here with Mayan? Because it feels like we're stunting his kind of growth in this company as a babyface. Good, we're still bringing up the win against Alex Shane, but we're not seeing that translate on TV.
Yeah,
it's very much like you remember with AEW. Action Andretti gets a big win over Chris Jericho and then does nothing.
I did note that from cutting to John for the intros until 5-star leaves the ring is nearly 18 minutes.
Yeah, I noticed that.
This is a 10-minute segment that doesn't need to be this long. And again, it goes back to they're still formatting the matches for the live shows, not the TV product. Like, we're not doing TV tapings. We are cutting live shows up into TV episodes.
Damn you, Herbert, and your 45 minutes.
So, backstage, as Andy mentioned, a camera enters the women's toilet to find Nick London adjusting his faux hawk. He is surprised, but says as we're here, he'll give us the hot tip on where to find all the latest FWA news. Shockingly, it's the official FWA website. Fozzie shot this. I'm not sure why I thought it would be a good idea to put it on television. I guess it's because I had to make up the time till 45 minutes.
Was this, Andy might know this, was this Beckham Mohawk time? Because 2004? Because it felt very shitty David Beckham Mohawk. Or am I?
It would have been around this time, mate, yeah.
Yeah, I've put shitty Mohawk, a shit Beckham Mohawk, but yeah, there we go.
So we go back to the pink dressing room, and if you noticed, the wall keeps changing colour because I must have had it on auto white balance. 5-star is packing his bag when Flash Barker enters and berates him for the post-match attack. Belton says he did what anyone would have done and then sarcastically says, I'm really, really sorry. Flash responds by suspending him for 2 matches. Not sure how that works in wrestling, but let's roll with it. The first of which would have been his title match with Doug Williams. And Flash says, I'm really, really sorry.
I can't believe what I've written down for this. I've put Commissioner Bald is not happy with Paul Belton. He's really, really sorry. Too much bad acting.
So as Belton stammers through how he can't be treated like this, the virtual bong goes off. However, it is not the virtual bong. It is Drew's dong. We get treated to the McDonald Monster moment. It is called Drew McDonald Injures the Monster. And it's from 3 weeks ago. It is Drew taking out Burchill during the match with Simmons. So Drew's terrifying theme plays as we get clips at the end of Burchill versus Simmons. Drew attacking Burchill with the chair, including an unseen alternative angle, and Simmons' victory by countout. The ticker at the bottom says, you cross the Highlander from hell at your own risk. Mr. McDonald and Mr. Lambert do not care if you sustain any broken bone. And then instead of another monster moment next week, the text says, paid for by Britain's #1 wrestling journalist, Greg the Truth Lambert. I think it's a nice way of like keeping that feud going, like reminding people again, this is 3 weeks ago. And it's not a standard recap. It's using one of the things I liked doing while making wrestling TV is you establish a formula and you put the formula on TV and you put the formula on TV and you put the formula on TV and then you break it because that makes it interesting. And that's what I think this is doing. It's giving you think you're getting a Burchill segment and you kind of are. You're getting a segment with Burchill in, but he is now the victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I was going to say, just before I comment on the Burchill segment, the segment with Belton, you know, telling him off, I'll ban you for 2 matches. Did he say he was going to give Aviv Mayan the title shot, did you say?
Hold on. One moment, sir. We go to another pink locker room where Simmons is cleaning his face in the mirror after apparently stuffing it with pizza. He does some comical stretches to burn off a few calories and then enter Drew McDonald and Greg Lambert.
Oh, my word.
They try one more time to recruit him. Drew says they don't make too many people an offer like this and he should think about it. He said, we'd like to have you with us. And if you're not with us, well, you're kind of against us.
Brother.
Yes. Greg tells him they don't need an answer now. He can consider the offer and maybe give them an answer in the ring. And Simmons agrees, simply so he doesn't get murdered on the spot. And they leave. Simmons breathes a sigh of relief and takes a good look at himself in the mirror, weighing up his options as a graphic comes up to tell us that the Hampton Court versus Family match for the tag team title is next week.
Brother. After it's like, oh, yes, mate, we know what you're doing, brother. And I'm just like, oh, God, will you stop saying brother, mate? You're not Terry in the 90s.
It was like that talking to him, like it was the Hulk McHogan routine all the time.
Eat your vitamins and say your prayers.
I'm not going to butcher the Scottish language this time, but the segment with the Burchill Bong, I enjoyed that. I didn't half expect Drew McDonald's music, and I thought, good little twist that. But when he's doing his talking in the backstage promo, he's very softly spoken into
this is the quietest we've ever seen Drew McDonald, isn't it?
A thespian. Oh, you heard of a thing called butter. You know too much.
If you're going to do it right. Oh, have you heard of a thing called butter, brother? I can't believe it's not butter, brother.
It's so softly spoken, isn't it? It's a good segment because you half expect Drew, just like if Simmons does anything, he'll just turn like that.
Yes. There's a real feeling of menace in it, I think. So we cut to another pink locker room where Aviv is angrily stuffing his gear into his bag while holding his neck. Enter Flash Barker and a sausage on a fork because this is some fucking Grange Hill acting right here, lads. Barker tells Aviv that he's suspended Belton and that he's also spoken to Doug Williams, who has said that Mayan can have the title shot that was meant to go to 5-star. But I don't want to take any shortcuts, says gallant babyface Aviv Mayan. What do you think I should do? Phil says, if all his years in wrestling have taught him anything, it's to take every opportunity you're presented, but the choice is ultimately Aviv's. And Barker leaves, and Aviv goes back to packing his bag. Andy, you and I on another show have ragged on the UWA for this, so I am going to do exactly the same thing. This acting fucking sucks. And why didn't I move those 2 Tesco bags out the back of the shot?
And why didn't you just plant Phil Powers there to do it?
Well, I already had Phil Barker. You can only have one Phil at a time. There's a limit on the number of Phils you're allowed.
Mate, this segment and just the end of this, like, what Barker was doing with my hand, shit.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Shit. It's like, right, I've suspended the lad who twatted you, and do you fancy a title shot? All right, then I'll take it. So, mate, you just got battered.
Do you want a reward for getting beaten up?
Yeah, innit? It's like so backward. This book
kind of is.
As I could be my hand. Shit.
This acting is currently at the level of Family Affairs and Hollyoaks. We needed to be at EastEnders and Emmerdale and Corrie, and it's nowhere near that so far.
Recap video time. 5 weeks ago, Ricky Knight bigging up Zebra Kid in the locker room. Clips of some of the stiff action in the Zebra Kid versus Doug Williams match. And it looks like Roy's going to hit the zebra crossing and win the title when Ricky pushes his own son off the top rope. And then clips of a Ricky Knight promo where he's sat next to a fridge with both a pile of clothes and a bottle of white wine on top of it.
I have put down, did he cut this promo after or before drinking that bottle of wine?
I don't know. I didn't film this one. I know that. And it might just be a case of the Tesco bags. Like, why the fuck didn't you just move all that shit out the shot? But he also might have had half of that bottle before he started. So the gist of it is he says, tonight, Roy isn't his son. He's Zebra Kid opposition. And the match is up next. We get the same purple and black vortex. And this time the number 11 falls into it. It is coming. We go to an ad break. And when we come back, it's the vortex for a third time. This time, the number is 2004. With all these numbers, I'm starting to think we've opened a portal to a dark dimension version of Sesame Street.
Was this the first announcement that it would be British Uprising 3, or was it already on the UKFF as announced?
I don't know. And technically, the next time this happens, it's the first announcement of British Uprising 3 because, as you are currently spoilering, it all comes together with another playing where all 3 numbers fall into the void and Ralph's voiceover says British Uprising.
I'm sorry, I'm just now imagining the Count from Sesame Street doing 13, 11, 2004,
He should have been the ref in the Birchall Simmons match with all the Birchall might have stood a chance of getting back in the ring. I did wonder, actually, if this vortex is how John Atkins teleports into his void.
I think John Atkins is a Doctor Who at this point. We just didn't know it.
Yeah. Keep your eyes open for a sonic screwdriver in the suit pocket. So, John pops up in the void to get in his live show catchphrase of this being tonight's main event. And then throws to Broxbourne. Ricky Knight gets into the ring to his Fight for Your Right to Party knockoff theme tune. He gets a mic, and the first words out of his mouth, "Shut your mouth or I'm going to come out and slap you right around the chops and your ugly stinking woman with you." So you're in no doubt who is the heel in this match. He gets some shit off the crowd on the other side of the building and says, "I thought I was coming to a wrestling show, not a geeks convention." He says, "You're not talking to the idiots now. You're dealing with a real man who will come out there and punch you in the teeth." And they respond with a chant of "Come and get it." He then says he'll see him in the car park outside. He introduces the young child who has come to the ring with him as Zach Zodiac, his other son. He says the difference between him and Zebra is this son shows the old man loyalty, makes the old man money, and doesn't run off to the FWA to wrestle in front of the stinking geeks. They chant FWA at him, and he tells them the only company in this country is WAW. Zebra's music hits, and he sprints to the ring, and these two just beat the shit out of each other.
Can I just quickly point out, when the camera focuses on Zach Zodiac, how pissed off does that child look that he's been dragged out of his bed, or he's been playing on his video game console, or been dreaming about making spuds, and now he's been told, right, you stand in the middle of this ring, and you're going to get involved in my shitty Hollyoaks feud here with your brother.
I believe this young gentleman is 13 years old here, and he is already wrestling under a mask on WAW shows.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
There's the flying spud.
Spuderico. Let's go.
The first 2 minutes of this is Zebra just teeing off on Ricky Knight until Ricky shoves him off a 10 punch in the corner and then slices him in half in midair with a spear. He stays on top, mostly doing heel things, but he does get a near fall off a really high no-bump rock bottom. Roy eventually just no-sells, fires up, bins Rick over the top, and the follow-up plunger gets a chant of "Who's the daddy?" The brawl goes out into the crowd where a bin gets used as a weapon, and Eddie, I spotted our mutual friend Larissa against the back wall.
Yes.
So Zebra beans Ricky with a beer can, and Ricky finds a convenient spot where the ref can, quote, subtly hand him his blade. Why aren't all wrestling tights made with an internal padded blade pouch just below the waistline? Wrestlers love adding levels of difficulty to blading, and I don't know about you, but I always spot them.
Some keep it in the gob, don't they?
I was going to say, do you remember that Hulk Hogan match where he spat his blade out of his mouth despite wearing jeans with a minimum of 5 pockets on them?
Oh, the fucking Hogan Sting thing from TNA.
Yes.
With the Rothmans.
Yeah. Fucking hell. Anyway, these two fight down the side of the bleachers, and Dad gets his head smacked into a brick wall as we go to the break. Did you hear the commentators say we can't see where they are from our vantage point?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That is because they only had the hard cam to commentate over for this. So they've got no idea what's going on if they can't see it in the hard cam. This is where we get the 13/11/2004 British Uprising 3 announcement. I do think this was the announcement of the date because we were trying to occasionally do some stuff that debuted on the TV show.
Yeah.
So if you watched the TV show, you got to know about this, I don't know, 20 minutes before everybody else, before someone who watched the TV show had put it on UKFF.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say, Kieran, you mentioned about the commentary only having the hard cam to watch. Well, that happened to me and Jeff as we did our commentary for Tidal Wrestling on that one show, which we were stood in the crowd for. We commentated on it a couple of days after. And the action actually went out into the outside area. So it was just a case of trying to remember, it looks like there's something going on out there, and try to pad like that. So my sympathies go with Tony and Nick on that.
Yeah, we try to avoid it as much as possible, but I was so up against the wire with stuff a lot of the time. It was just impossible to have a match edit done. And as I think I laid out when I talked about what went into making the TV show, it wasn't a case of you pull a card out of a camera and put it in the computer and transfer over the footage. All of this had to be transferred off tapes in real time to even get it onto the computer. And then you got to sync it up, and then you got to do an edit. Like, everything with this took far longer than it would do today. So yeah, frequently they would have, we'd be commentating over 4 weeks of TV, and 3 weeks they'd have edited matches. And then, sorry lads, the 4th week I haven't had time. You just got the hard cams. So we come back from our ad break. And a blood-covered Ricky Knight is being dragged to the ring.
I forgot there was one point here because obviously, because I saw you running up those stairs at that point when I think they were going to the side, and I saw you just run up those stairs, and I put Kieran getting those steps in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. But yeah, one more thing quickly. Sorry, because my brain just went wild there. I liked the spear from Ricky to Zebra at the beginning of it. I thought the hot start was kind of good as well. I'm enjoying this so far. I will put it that way for the moment.
Okay. So Rick gets some brief offense by pulling Zebra into the post and hitting a leg drop when they go back inside. But he spends too much time drawing with the crowd and gets walloped with a lovely top rope clothesline. Zebra sets up for what I call the Orig fetish special, with Ricky on his back, Zebra holding his feet apart and threatening to do harm to the balls, as Andy and I see every month on Working a Reslo. Several times, it must be said.
Oh, yeah.
The ref isn't having any of this, though. And Roy's like, please, go on, just turn around. And then when Ricky grabs the bottom rope, Roy nods over the ref's shoulder going, who's that ref? And drops an elbow on the old man's plums, prompting my favourite chant on the match, no more zebras. This would have meant a bit more if Zebra hadn't already kicked Ricky in the dick 3 times.
I would say his plum's in a bucket of ice after this match.
Well, you did say that Saraya likes a kick between the legs as well. It must just be a family trait. So there's some rope running that leads to Rick getting near falls off what I call Norwich's strongest slam, a flying clothesline, and the sit-down splash he used to beat Aviv. They do the lucha spot that wowed us in the Aviv match that ends with Stone Cold Ricky Knight hitting a stunner. Stone Cold Roy Knight, in fact. Sorry, wrong one. Body slam, zebra crossing, but Knight kicks out of his own son's finish. He doesn't even grab a rope, just kicks out. They go back and forth with punches and slaps, and then the kid that was affectionately dubbed in the commentary booth, not on the air, just in private, Chav Knight, hits the ring and pushes them apart, going, come on, we're family. I did think, in this one moment, this kid showed more charisma than half the people that have come out the Portsmouth Wrestling School. So Rick offers a handshake, but Roy flips him off and turns to leave. Ricky is pissed, clubs him on the back. Zach steps in and grabs his dad. What are you doing? But Zeb fires off a blind super kick in retaliation and decks his little brother. As Roy leans over to check on the kid, Ricky punches him in the balls from behind and pins him. Tony closes with, Ricky Knight claims he's doing this for WAW and his family, but if there's one person Ricky Knight is doing this for, it's Ricky Knight. Eddie, halfway through you said you liked this so far. At what point did you no longer like this anymore?
This bit.
Yeah?
This fucking acting of why am I so violent? Stop you. You need to be, it was just awful. And then the kid got involved and the super kick happened. The best bit is, and I had in my head there, when he kicked out of his son's finish move, that doesn't work for me, son. But literally to his son. But yeah, it just got this bit where I was like, nah, I don't like this. I don't like this. Fuck off back to Norwich and the pedestrianisation of your fucking motorway or whatever it is, the city centre. This is just, it was just shit.
Really?
The Knights have ruined these shows.
How do you feel, Andy?
I'm going to be less negative than Eddie. I thought it was a very fun brawl overall for what it were. I did enjoy what's he called, RKS, Ricky Knight Senior. Love him doing his little roly poly. He's very good at a roly poly, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think as we've seen on the Wrestle shows, Kieran, he's quite nimble and athletic, isn't he?
On occasion, yes, he can pull it out. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought it worked well as a match, but it sort of feels. I know you said Saraya's gone, but you do get the feeling like they wanted a bit of ownership of the FWA.
I have no idea what the deal was.
I think for what they were wanting to do, and it seems clear what Ricky wanted, is they wanted to do a WAW versus FWA thing.
I think that is most likely. I think him getting the WAW name on the only British wrestling TV program on the air at that point was important.
Yeah. Because the thing is, he mentions, obviously, like, he's arguing with the fans. He's talking about WAW. The reason for this happening is because Zebra's too focused on becoming the FWA champion. Even though there's a bit in that promo at the beginning where he says, you couldn't do it against Doug Williams. And then I'm like, motherfucker, you caused them to not do it against Doug Williams.
Heels should be hypocrites.
I know, and it works, but that was kind of the bit. But yeah, it feels like very much they wanted to do this thing, and Alex and LSR and everyone else just went, no, bye-bye.
So, I'll talk about the match quickly. I like the match, like Andy. I think this is a good, rough fight for most of it.
Can I just quickly also say, I like the match up until just the end.
I understand why you don't like the finish, and I don't think I liked it at the time. I like it more now because of how well executed it was.
That's completely fair enough.
The execution of it went off flawlessly.
Oh yeah, and listen, I'm not disagreeing with either of you saying like you don't know what you're talking about or anything like that. I get that. I just think it was a bit too kind of like not far fetched, but like he's been brought in. He does look miserable and he doesn't want to be there, but like this kid's just been brought in here and then that's it.
Yes, it would help if we had ever seen Zack Knight before.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, this all leads to nothing. Because shortly before the September show, Roy got sent down for 9 months for drink driving. Which killed this story stone dead. We get to see him once more in our TV timeline, but not till the very end. So, your 2004 night invasion is over. You get no more Soraya, no more Roy, no more Ricky, no more Chav.
It's a good night for me, and it's a good night for them.
Leave the spuds alone.
Back to the ukulele dimension. So John can tell us that next week we are getting 2 title matches. Jack Xavier will go after Hayes Vanson's All England title, and the family finally have to defend the tag team title against Hampton Court.
Now that I'm looking forward to that one.
I thought this was another broadly decent episode. It's a shame that all of the promos had to be clumped together in this 10-minute segment in the middle, but the format doesn't really allow for them to go. If you've got 2 matches, where else do they go? Like, I'm not going to do the WWE thing of a promo going in or a recap video for something going in a mid-match ad break. Like, matches should be contiguous things, not split up in that way. Today, I would probably at least shift the Aviv and probably Belton segments to next week with an after we went off air last week wild line from John. But, 45 minutes to the frame, the perennial problem.
I thought, as 2 episodes overall, pretty all right for the 40 minutes. Not much shit. Apart from the obvious, the booking decision, what I wasn't a fan of in the second show.
I think we see a lot that the wrestling is good and then we'll get let down by a creative finish.
Yeah. They overcomplicate stuff at times, but
it's a little bit as was the style at the time.
Yeah. But I would say it's good to see like James Tighe have a bit of character to him now, and also with Mark Belton. I think the repackage of Belton could have something in it.
They're getting there. I think the matches. Yep, I think I'm on your side with that, Kieran. It's the matches are good. The creative is just a bit naff, really, in terms of that. It doesn't make up for it. We've kind of went from the two. Again, we're not focusing on the A and B. Well, we've got a tiny focus on the B storyline, but it's not massive. But it just feels like we just didn't get a lot of, just nothing that was of interest, really. Like, matches were fine. AJ coming back was great. We'd love to see him more times. The shows felt like they were lacking some real star power, I feel. Johnny being this Thailand stuff.
Yeah, we are focusing on the people lower down the card, aren't we, of these?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not the AJ Styles and James Tighe match, because AJ is a big star now and we're trying to push Tighe up and like show make him into a heel main eventer.
Yeah.
But the rest of this is very much here's what's going on in matches 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and again, we joke about it, we don't have the main champion. He's busy because his schedule is so packed out. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of missing. No Xavier, no kind of that kind of thing. Yeah, it was a very night filled, put it that way. As much as we're joking about it, but obviously, we kind of pay off that.
It was the big blow off fortnight for the Knights. No more after this. We are clear of Knights. I think that's it then.
Yep.
Let's take it home, Eddie. Tournament and legal status.
Well, currently that's on pause at the moment as I'm currently moving all my legal efforts to destroy KLM. But you can find me on Blue Sky at Eddie Cyburns. You can also please listen to our bonus episode we did discussing our time in WXW Grand Prix.
Yes, indeed. If you haven't listened to Manda's Wonderland yet, you should do that. That is Eddie and I talking about the lovely weekend we spent in Germany watching a shit ton of wrestling.
Shit ton of wrestling, and we didn't stand up for 7 minutes and keep applauding each other until we finally sat down to then start recording it. But yeah, and yeah, you can find me on the Twitter's retired, but yeah. Anyway, you can see me there. Thank you.
And Andy, graps and claps, etc.
Yes, so you can follow me on X at Occupy3. Follow my podcast, Graps and Claps, GCP at GCP Podcast 1. Go and listen to the latest stuff, which will be live reviews, many of them, plus the latest episode of Shite with JP of Grapple fame, as we look at episode 43 of NWA TNA, the Raven versus Jeff Jarrett main event.
That episode is a hoot. I love the shows you do with Matty. This one is just as good.
Yeah, no, JP come out with some.
Oh, yes. He is on top form.
Yeah. And also, you can go and listen to me as I make a guest appearance on Benno and Hamflet In Your House, as I review with them In Your House 13 Final 4. So that's the one with Bret Hart, Steve Austin, Vader, and The Undertaker in the main event. So go and give that a watch on YouTube and listen to it on their podcast platforms everywhere.
That is one of my new favorite podcasts. I recently had a period of working from home, and in the periods where I wasn't working, I binged that. I got through almost all of it in about 2 weeks. Yeah, it's really fun, really fun. As for this show, you can find everything to do with us at linktr.ee/FWApod. We are on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube at FWApod, and Instagram at FWA.pod. As for me personally, I am at Kieran Edits on Blue Sky. Thank you very much for listening. We should address November. There will be no review show in November, simply because our schedule is not going to allow for it. However, we're going to make up for that. The plan is to bring you 2 bonus interview shows, and there's 2 things you can do about it.
FWA.